And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we do get into today's video, as always, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. So I hope you are all well. Apologies, there was no video yesterday. That's simply due to the fact that there was literally no news around Celtic yesterday, and of course Rangers were playing in the Scottish Cup semi-finals against Hearts. They won the game 2-0, so we now know we're taking on Rangers in the final come May 25th. To be honest, I wasn't too fussed about the outcome of that match. I mean, of course it's good to see Rangers lose, but I think it's better for us as Celtic fans to beat them in the final. It makes their victory all the more sweeter when that does eventually happen. I am fairly confident going into that final that we can beat them. Of course, ourselves haven't been in the best form this season, but when it comes to head-to-head, we have got the better of Rangers overall, for sure. So I'm pretty confident ahead of that game, and I'm looking forward to it, to be fair. It does make that victory all the more sweeter when we do eventually beat them, for sure. But I do want to discuss quite a few things in today's video, because it's been a little more busy today. The first is with regards to Chris Sutton and some of his words in the final running of the Scottish League. Of course, there's 5 games left to play this season, and he kind of gives his take on the league table and the standings and whether he thinks Celtic will win the title or not. And it's quite an interesting point really from Sutton. So we'll discuss that in just a second. But of course you have some news with regards to Fabrizio Romano, because he's basically spoken out about us come the transfer window and how we have a few more transfer millions to spend come the summer transfer window, which is quite exciting. So we'll discuss that towards the end of the video. But let's discuss the Chris Sutton story here, because not all Celtic fans and not all Rangers fans, to be fair, haven't said that the league's done and dusted. Of course, there's a small majority of Celtic fans being overly confident that the league table is done and dusted, that we've won the title already. And there's a small majority of Rangers fans who are quite defeatist, saying they've lost the title already, given the fact of recent results. But the main thing to know, of course, is only 3 points separate Celtic and Rangers from first and second. And Chris Sutton does believe that, he basically thinks he's not overly confident that Celtic can remain unbeaten between now and the end of the season, and he does think there'll be some twists and turns in the title running come the last few games of the season. So this is what he had to say. He said, "Unlike Celtic and Rangers fans, I don't think the title race is over. I don't trust either side to remain unbeaten from now until the end of the campaign. There are still issues in the wide areas at Celtic, and they are a team that has played in halves over this year. It was the same against St Mirren last weekend, where it was a bit of a struggle against a team sitting deep until they got the first goal. Celtic fans are taking great delight in their apparent collapse at Ibrox, but their players have to completely ignore what's going on over there and take care of their own business." So that is very, very true. I mean, of course, not all Celtic fans are saying the league's over and done, or done and dusted, but there's a small majority, of course, that are overly confident that we will win every single game between now and the end of the season. I think Chris Sutton's right there. You've got to focus on our own game, of course, not focus too much on what's happening at Rangers, because they have capitulated in the last few games, of course, since Ross County and Dundee. But it's going to be a very interesting final few weeks to the season for sure. I'm looking forward to it. I'm slightly nervous, of course. I mean, there's only 3 points separate us, but I will, of course, back Celtic to get the job done. Just given the fact of who we have on our team, what they've done in the past, and looking across and seeing the Rangers players and seeing what they've done in the past. I mean, during those meltdowns, there was a caller saying that Taverniers won all 3 trophies. He's won all 3 trophies in the last 10 years at Rangers. So, that just goes to show the different level in quality and the winners in Celtic side and the losers in Rangers side. But of course, anything can happen in football. But I am slightly confident, but a little bit nervous, of course, going into the last few games of the season. And I do agree with Chris Sutton as well. We've got to focus on our own game rather than focusing too much on Rangers, for sure. So let's discuss this Fabrizio Romano story, because, as I mentioned, he's basically said that we could have quite a lot of millions to spend come the summer transfer window, which we very much welcomed, for sure. But that all basically depends on whether or not we spend it or not. Of course, we are a very financially stable club, but we don't always spend the money that we have there to spend, really, which is quite frustrating. So, of course, Celtic are in the midst of a title race, and whilst nothing is won or lost as of yet, as I just mentioned, one thing for certain is that we cannot afford to have another season like this of dropping points. Whilst for the neutral it has been entertaining, the Hoops have not been at their best this campaign, and we seriously do need to make additions in the summer transfer window. Obviously, if we can go on to win the league, the transfer kitty will be colossal due to the influx of cash that comes with competing in the new league phase. However, we could be set for even more according to Fabrizio Romano and his latest update. So speaking to the Court Offside podcast, Romano confirmed that Jeremy Frimpong would most likely leave Bayer Leverkusen this summer. He said, Frimpong is the one I believe will leave us this summer from Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen aren't going to sell much this summer, but will make one high-profile sell. This is what the CEO confirmed. Frimpong, it seems, will leave as there's a lot of interest in him from Manchester United, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. It's an interesting one to watch, but I really think he will leave. This could provide the Hoops a huge transfer blowback due to the 30% sell-on fee we inserted in his contract back when we sold the player. This will of course be welcome fun come the summer. Now the figure that I mentioned previously when I've done the story is that it'll be around £6.3 million that we would receive for the sale of Frimpong, given what his release clause is in his current contract, and the 30% sell-on fee of course of profit on that deal. So it'll be £13 million we sold him for, plus the 6.3 we'll get for him if he is sold this summer, which is quite a good return on Frimpong. Had a very good season this year with Leverkusen, currently unbeaten as well. If you guys watched the Dortmund game yesterday, they scored in the 98th minute to keep the unbeaten record, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, he's been a stand-up player. You could kind of see the raw talent when he was at Celtic. Of course, he wasn't a complete player back then. He's definitely grown to be an absolutely special player for Bayer Leverkusen, and they've had a great season overall. So that'd be definitely a welcomed amount of money to come to the club for the summer transfer window. Of course, the question for you guys really is, do you think we'll spend big this summer transfer window? Of course, we reckon the board will look at this season. Not been great, of course, and Europe has been poor as well, as always. But domestically, so many points dropped this season. We shouldn't really be in this close of a title race right now with Rangers. It should have been done and dusted a while ago, but we've dropped points left, right and centre. It's been a very poor campaign overall. The recruitment was poor in the summer. Adam Ida's been a good little addition in the winter for sure, but overall not happy with the business in the last few transfer windows. So I want to know who and where should we invest in on the park? What positions do you want to see the team look to strengthen? And as always, comment down below what you made of what we discussed in today's video. Are you first of all happy about playing Rangers in the final? I am, as I mentioned. It makes it a lot more sweeter and all the more better when we do beat them in the final for sure. And what do you make of Chris Sutton's words? Do you think he's talking a lot of sense there about some Celtic fans getting carried away with the 3-point lead over Rangers in the league table right now? And of course, the Jeremy Frimpong sell. Did you expect him to be this good when he left Celtic initially, or has he exceeded your expectations for what you had of him when he was a boy at Celtic? So as always, drop a like on this video. There will be another video tonight, an edited one for you. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, take care. Bye-bye.